Peter, thank you for joining us. First, what do you make of the final game and France's win?
Well, it was predicted. France was the better team on paper, shall we say. And Croatia had also played 3 consecutive extra time matches leading to the final. So there were concerns about the physical endurance of the Croatians. And unfortunately, those proved to be true as they had to catch up in the second half. And while they had a great spirit, they didn't quite have the legs to do it.
Peter, you focus a lot on Africa and on sport. There was a controversial reference a few days ago referring to France as the last African team. What do you make of that?
Well, of course, many of the French players have African origins. It's a sign of the kind of cosmopolitan nature of contemporary France. So, it's a matter of great pride for lots of West Africans in particular to see players like Pogba and Kanté and others succeed on the global stage. But it's also bittersweet because it means that that great talent that comes out of Africa often benefits Europe rather than countries in Africa.
There were reports that police in Paris shut down public transportation to the city's suburbs following France's win. Critics are saying that that reeks of racism. What do you think?
Well, that's a very important point that's raised by the critics, because as you're seeing in these wonderful shots of masses of people in Paris celebrating this tremendous victory, the national team of France, as in 1998, is being put up as a symbol of a kind of multicultural, inclusive, tolerant France. It's a multiracial makeup, I think, is a demonstration of that in many ways. But then when you look under the surface, these kinds of decisions by the authorities reflect a kind of more divided country.
And Peter, how did Russia host this? How do you think they did as the controversial host that they were? And the next host, Qatar in 2022, is equally controversial, if not more.
Yeah, I think back to a comment made by the FIFA General Secretary at the time, Jerome Valcke, in 2013 during the Confederations Cup in Brazil, who said sometimes less democracy is better for a World Cup. And I think Putin's Russia did a tremendous job by clamping down on any sort of potential dissent and running a very tight ship, so to speak. And also were aided by the fact that the Russian team surprised Russians themselves going within a penalty shootout of reaching the semifinals. And it always helps for a host country to have their own team go deep into the tournament. Now, in terms of Qatar 2022, I think as the previous commentator said, they have a lot to live up to. And this is going to be a very different World Cup. The games are going to be played mostly close to each other. It's a small country. And also it's going to be played in November and December, which is going to be extremely interesting and could add quite a bit of new twists and turns to this evolving World Cup narrative.
All right, Peter Alegi, we'll have to leave it there. Professor of History at Michigan State University, thank you for joining us.